Welcome to Seattle Public Utilities Ask Evelyn Live, where we answer your questions about recycling, compost, garbage, and other trashy topics. I'm your host, Becca Fong, and this week's episode, Road Trippin'. So it is really hard to keep up your waste sorting and waste reduction game while you are on the road. And this week's question is all about, a couple of good green tips so you can enjoy less trippin' and more sippin' while you are on the road. So we're going to get Pat logged in and answer this week's.
Hey, Becca.
Hey, how's it going, Pat?
Real good. Ready for a road trip?
I know, right? It's so hot right now, though. Woo!
Yeah, you would want to have the AC if you're going to hit the
Yeah,
road today, I
for
think.
sure.
You
For
know, you can
sure.
do the windows rolled down and let's let the heat, but you can't do that all day. No.
No, no,
Not to
not at
Walla
all.
Walla, which is what our question is all about. Should I go right to it?
Absolutely.
All right. Coming into the Ask Evelyn inbox, here's the question. Hi, Evelyn. We're headed on a road trip to Walla Walla and staying in both a hotel and an Airbnb while we're there. How do I know what I can and I can't recycle while I'm on the road and when I'm there in Walla Walla? Thanks. And that came to us from Tiana. Quick answer?
All right, Tiana, absolutely really conscientious of you to figure out and to
Yeah.
know that recycling is not all the same everywhere. So really quickly, the quick answer is you can never go wrong with empty, clean, and dry, right? Whatever recyclable you have, as long as it's empty, clean, and dry, you're usually in a good spot. And then there's also a couple of basics. So there's paper, cardboard, and then metal. And those things can almost always be recycled just about everywhere. But in case you're not sure, remember, when in doubt, to find out and look up your local guidelines. So there's a kind of still a lot there for a quick answer. So Pat, let's get into the details. Uh-oh, I think Pat froze on me. Maybe I can bring him back. Okay, I think Pat is going to come back and join us. It is interesting because when we were looking at different guidelines for Walla Walla, things are very different than they are in Seattle. All right, let me see if I can get Pat back to join us.
Hey, hi.
Hey, Pat.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I just sort of jumped away for a moment. So I'm
Yeah,
back.
it's odd because your audio is good, but the video on my end is not looking so great.
Well,
So,
on my end, I'm in full movement capacity. So shall we just go for it, or do you want to restart?
why don't we pick off where we left off?
Okay.
And let's go for it.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. So you had provided the quick answer, and it's always recycle right.
Yeah.
I mean, that empty, clean, and dry, that's a statewide initiative. All of the agencies and geographic, service providers across the state came together and created the Recycle Right campaign to
Yep.
make sure all your recyclables are empty, clean, and dry. And with that, there are also some common items that many, many locales will accept for recycling. Cardboard, obviously, easy to recycle all places. And then you get into other materials that are, frankly, they have a stronger commodity value. Things like aluminum cans or tin cans. Metal is a commodity that really holds its value well. Of course, paper, newspaper and white paper and different, forms of office paper and such are always accepted. Mail, that kind of thing. But you get into some categories where the collection guidelines may vary from area to area, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we really have a, whoops, I was trying to fix that, but sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, it's back. So we really have a lot of materials that vary depending on the commodity value because there's transportation costs involved. If you were to collect your recycling program in some part of the state that isn't immediately located at a port like in Seattle or near the recycle centers like in Seattle, it costs some counties and small towns a fair amount of money to truck, to pay for the transportation service to get their materials all the way to market. And when the market isn't super strong, that may be a costly venture for them. So in some cities, some counties, they're not accepting different forms of plastic tubs or bottles. and often they don't accept glass.
Totally.
Sometimes they will accept those items, but only in drop-off locations where if consumers, if residents want to bring the material in its empty, clean, and dry form to the drop-off center, and they load up a whole big drop box full of just like green glass, then they can afford, then it's a commodity that's upgraded to a point where it can cover its own cost to get to market. But it's just really tough. I think for, Walla Walla, that's a long ways away from here.
It's a long way.
Their market they probably will be shipping material more likely towards Boise or some other larger city in a different direction at times. I know like down in Vancouver, they work more with the Portland, Oregon market than they do the Seattle, of course, and so forth. So you're really trying to, as a consumer, as a traveler, as a road tripper, you're just trying to try to get in line with what's going on locally, and just try to have a perspective of, when you see the recycle bin, don't assume that everything you can recycle at home is accepted at the Airbnb or hotel you might be staying at.
Totally. Actually, kind of 2 points. We had a comment come through. It was, what about styrofoam? So styrofoam, as far as I know, nobody takes that in their commingled recycling anywhere in the state. Even in Seattle, where we have special item pickup for recycling it has to be a separate pickup. So styrofoam is always going to be out.
Yeah.
It's pretty uncommon for that to be a collected item.
And plastic bags, same thing.
And plastic bags.
No plastic bags allowed in any program, y'all. It's not something that any recycle center wants to receive.
No, not at all. And the other thing that made me think of, I was in the Metau a little while ago, and they have a drop-off center for their recycling.
Yes.
They also do some curbside work. But with the glass, what it was exactly what you were talking about, where they just had a giant open top container where you could go and sort your glass by color, which I think took a lot of the work out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that particular recycling center is run by a nonprofit. And so they asked for donations to help with the transportation. So I dropped my glass off, and I also dropped, a couple of dollars in there. But if you're road tripping, you can also take it with you.
Yeah.
That's certainly a possibility.
Sure. I mean, when the bottle was full of the beverage you wanted, like you wanted what was in the bottle, not the bottle, of course.
Yep.
But, the bottle was valuable to you until you got the beverage, but the bottle's still valuable. So
totally.
I don't know. I'm just trying to say, just take it home, bring it home with you, especially if you're road tripping and you made room in the car for your beverages on the way over. Well, just make room in the car for your beverage bottles on the way home. Those are some thoughts, not to guilt anyone or try and force,
that's not what we're about.
No, we always, believe me, folks, we always have our chat before the show about, let's not get into the guilt space here. We're not trying to, but it's more practical and logical, I think, to kind of think about it in a way of, it's a fully recyclable item at home where you're living. And so if you're on a road trip, just bring it on back with you and recycle when you get home. It should be fine.
For sure. And then one other tip, Tiana, is that especially if you're road tripping, if you're staying at a hotel and an Airbnb, there's definitely some good possibilities for bringing your own stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so we wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I actually did find a couple of props that I wanted to share. One thing that we've talked a lot about, especially in hotels and Airbnbs, because a lot of folks are going to provide like shampoo, lotion, things like that. You could either be picky and sustainably minded, and you can bring your own.
Yeah.
So this way, you know exactly what you're getting. You bring your own materials. You're not, requiring them or setting the precedent that you want like these individual little containers to use at either of those locations. And these are super handy, right? And that's like enough for a week's worth,
Oh, yeah.
And that just really cuts down on a lot of that waste. So that's another really good thing that you can do. Go ahead, Pat.
I was just saying, you can get those little containers, at the drugstore very easily, to fill with your own personal products, your preferred brand, or you can just get, the small size units either from a hotel you visited at one time in the past and keep reusing that, or you just buy one of those little personal size containers of like shampoo, and then you just backfill it. You just refill it with yours. So reuse. The little container for road trips is a great option. Just keep it in your little travel bag and you'll be good to go.
Totally. And actually on that tip, a lot of hotels in particular have kind of a green etiquette program too. I've seen that around a couple of places, but do you have any kind of thoughts or tips on that or things?
Sure. I have been traveling a little bit with my son's baseball team in tournaments. So we've we see hotels have the little placards out or the little door hangers and things that say, hey, if you don't want to have your sheets, turned over, or your towels, then just leave this tag out, the do not disturb type tag. Or there'll be a little card, on the table by the TV that says, if the towel's on the floor, we know that's one you want to replace. If it's on the rack, we think you're good to go for another day with that. So really looking for those little signs in your hotels and Airbnbs. Just look for the opportunity that the company, providing you the lodging is actually trying to minimize their footprint. They're trying to save resources, trying to save costs, kind of stabilize rates in this industry, this category. So it's really great to look for that, all those other things, like don't leave the air conditioning on when you leave the room all day. It doesn't take that long to cool back off, So just little tips like that. Just, you're on vacation, but you're not on vacation from your footprint, right? We all want to do other things and enjoy certain aspects of life when we're on vacation and not be bothered with all the things of the home and the routine. But, you can still be thoughtful about how you're going through your day.
Sure. And I would be remiss. I always have a couple of thoughts too about snacks.
Yes.
About snacks, especially with road tripping. My family loves the giant container of peanut butter pretzels. So I would bring like this with me and then like a small container to put like a snack size in. So I can keep snacks for when we're like going on like visiting a park or going on a hike or checking something out, then you're ready to go. So those things are really great. I love that. And then you get to reuse the container.
Yeah.
And then I will prevent like my family from eating all of the peanut butter pretzels in one go because
a very regulated dispensary. It's Becca's regulated dispensary on this.
I know, right? I mean, I'm generally the quartermaster here. I mean, not that I wouldn't love to eat a whole thing of peanut butter pretzels in one go. And then one that we talk about a lot is I bring my own reusable cup.
Oh yeah.
Right. I like this one because it's got a lid on it. It can also just be a straight up tumbler. Sure. It's nice. So I can have hot or cold stuff in it. This is a really good one. I just have that in my car, because I probably I'm needing coffee on my way out anyway.
Yes.
And then I always, all of us in our family, we have a little mess kit. We got a plate. My kids call them blates because it's like a bowl and a plate.
Nice.
And then I always have chopsticks, a straw, and a spoon. Which is just nice to have, right? Again, then you don't have to mess with stuff. If you're like packing up, you're on a road trip, maybe you're going to go see the sights. You just have all that stuff with you. You don't have to worry about if it's recyclable, if it's compostable, if they have those services there, because you're just going to reuse it and take it with you. So that's just a quick little plug. We're always hoping to encourage people to reuse stuff more and more.
Absolutely. So. And I love a nice cloth napkin, wherever you go, keep a napkin handy in the car. The other thing, to mention about road trips though, is the idea of, reducing your footprint in a different way. And that is to, buy local. When you're at home, you try and shop local, you try and support the independents. You can do that on the road too. It's easy, and the burgers always taste the same at the fast food places, right? But go into that independent deli, that little cafe. That's such a nice, it's a better way to go sometimes. So again, not trying to guilt anyone or kind of steer anybody's, it's just the idea of you do have opportunity when you're on a road trip to try some new things and support local businesses.
For sure. Absolutely. Tiana, thank you so much for your question.
Yeah.
I think some simple recycle right trips, empty, clean, and dry, and when in doubt, find out, or at a minimum, it's a pretty sure bet if you're going to recycle paper, cardboard, and metal. Most places are going to take those things. So, but you can always bring it back with you.
That's right.
And then further reduction, just BYOB. That is always a good way to go, whether you're at home or you're traveling. So hopefully those are some helpful tips, Tiana. And then thank you all who continue to send in your questions. This is a good reminder that this show is run on your questions. So you can send them to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can send us an email at askevelyn@seattle.gov. We're going to have a link to some of the Recycle Right information.
Right.
So you guys have that at fingertips. So with that, I'm Becca Fong. And remember, life's simpler with less stuff.
And I'm Pat Kaufman. Remember to recycle right. We'll see you next time.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.